This is the voice of Cincinnati.
Yeah. Okay, this is Frank. Right.
Good morning. You're listening to 1320 AM WCVG, The Voice. This is another episode of Okay, Let's Be Frank. Okay, this is Frank.
Hey, why is this not working? Try it again.
I don't know. Anyway, how we doing this morning?
Pretty good. How are you this morning?
Oh, you know.
It's not morning, it's afternoon, so apparently we're still
I'm
very
running a little behind, I guess.
dazed today.
Oh, it's all good. I had a pretty good couple of days, I guess. You know, been eventful.
Yes.
I guess.
Eventful, yeah.
Yeah. Stay away from Burger King. That's all I'm saying.
Burger King. Well, that said, never mind. Anyway,
Yeah, Burger King.
was it Burger King? I don't go to Burger King anyway, so we're
There you
good.
go.
Yeah.
There you go.
I'm not all, no thank you. Okay.
Yeah. So what's happened since Monday? Anything happened since Monday?
Yeah, there's been a couple of exciting things happened since Monday,
Yeah.
but we're not going to talk about them today.
Well, wait a minute. So we're here. You on the radio? Hey, everybody! We just want to let you know we're not going to talk about anything.
Right. Not today. We got other important business to talk
We
about.
do, but we got a whole like 10 or 15 minutes
10 or
to fill up
15
before
minutes.
that happens. So,
Okay.
are you new? Are you
I
new
am.
before? Okay.
I am
listen.
new. I am new. New to the game.
I
New
hear
to the
you.
game.
I hear you.
Haven't ever done this before.
Well, all right. Don't say all right. Well, so last night was cool. Western Hills game. You know, I'm the voice for Western Hills now. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know, it's
How'd that
I
go?
been doing football and then I did basketball. Last night was the last home game for the boys.
Your phone is not working.
That's all right. So it was cool. We played the Beaver Creek Beavers, and they were kicking our butt at first. The freshman team, and I found this out last night, the freshman team of Western Hills has not lost a game until last night. It was their last game. They were undefeated,
Oh, no.
and the freshmen got beat. But it makes it super exciting for the future of Western Hills. These kids are working hard, working their butt off. And so I got there about halfway through the JV game. And JV guys, they got beat. So I was like, wow, what's this going to do for senior varsity night? Like, I feel bad. So I'm going to have to hype it up a little bit, you know. And we kind of introduced, like, I think when I first got there, like, just like saying the name, you know, and I put a little emphasis behind it or whatever. But I turned around my guys, the DJ, and I'm like, dude, we need to get a theme song. We need to play a theme song. And then old girl's like, I can cut the lights out. I'm like, yeah, let's cut the lights out. I go to my son's game. He's a Blue Jay right over here at St. Joe's. And dude, they got these spotlights going on. They got this music playing, and all the kids run out. You know, they do the little high fiving and do the little thing in the middle and all this. I go over here to a high school, and I'm just saying names. I'm like, we got to hype this up a little bit. You know, we just get hype. So we got to play the Chicago Bulls theme song. You know what I mean? Like, can't go wrong with Chicago Bulls now. Cut the lights out and all that stuff. It was pretty cool. Pretty amazing. And varsity came back and won that game.
Good deal.
It was a good deal. It was a good deal for sure. Yeah, they had a lot of people. Like, I remember our senior nights. Like, there was maybe 2 or 3 people that would walk out on the court with you and take a picture and all that. These people had like mass people. Like, it was just, they just kept coming out the door. I was like, daggone. It's nuts. It was nuts. A lot of folks. It was a good time for sure. Good send off for the seniors for sure. The girls' senior night is Thursday. I think JV starts at 4. No, JV's 5:30. At 7. Varsity's at 7. Check us out. Check them out. It'll be all right. I don't know. I may have to. Maybe I might.
You got your Wi-Fi turned on? Well, then it should just do it. But it's not.
Anyway.
I mean, I can talk and play on the phone at the same time.
That's a lie. Prove it.
I'm doing it right now. I'm talking and I'm playing on the phone.
All right. So
you
tell
know,
me about what's going on that's exciting in Kay's world.
Kay has got a new location for herself and her child. So that's exciting and scary and exciting. And so, like, I slept in my own new bedroom for the last 2 nights. No, let me rephrase that. I laid in my own new bedroom for the last 2 nights because I haven't slept in for, I don't know, a week, 2 weeks, like maybe 3 hours
Yeah.
a day, a night, literally. I'm just like, so today with this rain, I'm really just so tired. I'm tired, but I can't go to sleep. I just lay there and my mind just goes wherever it wants to go. And so my eyes pop open and I get my devotionals.
Get up and do some jumping jacks. Oh, no.
Like,
Do
this is
some push-ups.
crazy. Come on. I was so
trying
tired.
to
I
read,
drove
like, reading-
Dalton to school
Reading
this
put me
morning.
to sleep.
And so I lay there and I'm going through these devotionals. I'm reading them and reading them and reading them over. And I got 15 devotionals down my Bible app list. And I'm just going down and just reading. And it's empowering me to know what Christ is doing in my life. Truthfully.
Mhm.
It's given me power. It's given me love. It's given me knowledge. And it's making me excited. So therefore, I'm not sleepy. I just want to get up and go. Like, we got work to do. What are we doing laying here in this bed? Get up, let's go.
Maybe one of them days though, you just open that window and listen to the raindrops and just kind of chill out and relax for sure.
I tried. I dropped
Really
Dalton
relax.
off this morning. I went back home. I thought, okay, Frank's still in bed. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take a nap.
No, that's right.
So I went home to take a nap, and I did. I laid down, got all comfortable, covered up. I thought, okay, I'm all relaxed and comfortable. And then, boing, there they went. I'm like, oh, forget it. Whatever. Okay, fine. I'm not going to get this done. I'll get up. So I got up, went and fixed me a bowl of cereal and another cup of coffee, and just
Another cup of coffee. Well, that's why you
Another
can't sleep. You
coffee.
can't drink coffee and then try to go to sleep. It don't work like that.
it does. I can drink it.
Well,
Well,
used to give you back in the day warm milk. Mama
Yeah.
give you warm milk before you go to bed. Put you to sleep.
Eucalyptus.
There you go. There you go. Get one of them little warmers. You know what I'm talking about? Like
a
with some
diffuser.
yeah,
I
with
have
some
that.
lavender and
Mhm.
let the
Got
aroma
that going over.
take over.
Got that going over all through the bedroom, and Dalton's bedroom.
Yeah, that's what's up.
So yeah.
Well, heck yeah. Well, that's cool. That's super exciting. And it kind of, we can lead that into why we are here today and what our episode is about today. Because you are going through a kind of a mindset change.
Oh, a big mindset change.
Um, so as you are transitioning from one place to another, new life, all those things,
all that stuff.
there's a lot that encompasses that, right?
Right.
There's a lot of things that are involved and a lot of entities
Yes,
that surrounds the entire situation.
correct.
So today,
I was thinking to go.
good for me.
Thumbs down.
Today we have brought in,
Bothering him. I can't.
It's-
He can't talk and let me play on the phone at the
Totally
same
fine.
time.
It ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna work. We'll just leave it alone. Today we brought in a couple of special guests into the studio. The past couple of episodes we have been talking about basically prisons and the reacclimation into society, what that looks like, why other prison systems work, and why ours is a business that wants to keep you inside. And so today we're bringing in Dr. Ricardo Smith, who has written a book called Voices Cry Out, Post-Prison Mindset. I think Kate put it on the
Yes.
site there. Basically, the Voices Cry Out Post-Prison Mindset identifies how power is perpetuated through prison systems in terms of policies and economics. In the emergence of ethnic movements for equity in an institutional societal system, voices continue to cry out because of America's racialized mechanisms of social control. ex-offenders often struggle with finding gainful employment, housing, and voting obstacles after prison. Both social control and social incarceration represent the linchpin recidivism connection for criminal for life to
He
the
did
unjust
it.
criminal system.
You don't know how many times he tried that before we went on air. He did it. Yay, Frank.
That means return rate. Anybody's wondering. So anyway, no, I think this is super important because the first part, voices cry out. I don't think that we understand enough how once you've been incarcerated that you have put yourself in a certain mindset. You've determined in your mind because of what you've been told, how you've been treated. And I think we forget about this a lot of times too, that you're used to out running with your buddies and somebody's always on the phone or something, you get locked up. You may have one or two people that call you, or that you can call, that you can talk to, that come and visit. There's not all that anymore. So you're put in a mindset of being closed off anyway.
Right.
When you get out, the inside voices are crying out for sure. A lot of people aren't, I guess, open to saying that. They'd rather just stay in the type of mindset to a certain point. The post-prison mindset, again, it identifies how power is perpetuated through prison systems in terms of policies and economics. Now, Dr. Smith, I would like you to kind of take that a step further and tell us a little bit about how, first, welcome to the show.
Yes,
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for being here.
Okay. Dr. Smith is he has his doctorate in public policy and social change through interdisciplinary study. Me and my vocab, I got issues. But anyway, this man was a professor at Cincinnati State and has written this book and has a real heart for the prisoner and the mindset. The people that are out really trying to change themselves. He's got a lot of good words to say and a lot of education to back it up. So without further ado, this is Dr. Ricardo Smith. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be on the show. I appreciate that. I also have my good friend with me, Brian Dale. He'll have some words to say as well. The post-prison mindset, I talk about and now I can't say the words. I talk about the perpetuation of this prison system, what I call the, not what I call, but the term has been coined the prison industrial complex. And what happened is that this is a $1 billion industry in which there's some capitalism going on. And I looked up, I did try to Google capitalist incarceration,
The National Weather Service in Wilmington has issued a flood warning for the Little Miami River at Kim's Mills until this evening. At 11 a.m., the stage was 15.9 feet. Flood stage is 17 feet. Minor flooding is forecast. The river will rise above flood stage by this afternoon and continue to rise to near 17.5 feet by this afternoon. The river will fall below flood stage by late this afternoon. At stages near 17 feet, flooding of lowland areas occurs from South Lebanon to Foster. Portions of Mason Morrow Millgrove Road also flood.
Okay, we're back. This is Frank. This is Ken.
Good job, man. Oh, there you go.
All right, we're back. We're just talking about Voices Cry Out, post-prison mindset. And I want to just talk about how my motivation for this book was really just to hear the voices of some men who have been in the prison system. And I wanted to hear their stories. I wanted them to be able to pontificate, articulate, express themselves in a way that maybe nobody else gave them a rare audience. So Voices Cry Out, before I talk to some of the economic piece, I just want to just emphasize that the title of the book is like unprotected citizen, which is the ex-offender or the felon, doesn't usually have a voice. And on my book cover, my nephew drew a chain through the mouth, trying to show that the voice is still linked up to the prison system, and that he's really locked up underneath the chin, but he's supposed to be free in the mind area where the open cuff link is for the handcuffs. But in the mouth, there's a link, and it's a chain that connects trying to be free while you're still locked up. And it's a chance for voices to cry out and express. And if we're looking at the news at all, voices are crying out all over the place in our public and society about what's not being fair, what's not being liked or equitable. So prisoners don't have a voice. They're monitored. They're not given a voice they have to have a representative to speak for them. And when they get out of prison, the voice is there's a type of social incarceration going on. So I just want you to know that the voices are crying out. And I want this to be
Crying out through the
The
National Weather
Service in Wilmington has issued a flood warning for the Little Miami River at Milford until Friday morning. At 11 a.m., the stage was 13.8 feet. Flood stage is 17 feet. Minor flooding is forecast. The river will rise above flood stage 9 late this afternoon and continue to rise to near 18 feet by this evening. The river will fall below flood stage by Friday morning. At stages near 19 feet, flooding occurs in lowland areas of Milford and Terrace Park, including portions of Round Bottom Road and Anderson Township and Carl Brown near Loveland.
Be careful around Little Miami River, I guess. Flood stages. All right. Be careful around Little Miami River. Apparently it's flooded, and they had to tell us a couple of times. So anyway, post-prison mindset. Voices Cry Out, a post-prison mindset by Dr. Ricardo Smith. A lot of good information in there. As we were talking this past week about what it's like to be incarcerated, and that not necessarily just incarceration, just like Kate's going through her deal. To have a mindset of moving forward takes a certain type of push. It takes a certain type of backing. Kate's kind of going through this deal by herself. So that's why she said that she was having trouble sleeping or whatever. I think that's the biggest issue when it comes to post-prison mindset. There's nobody really backing prisoners while they're there, let alone when they get out, and telling them the things that they need to be told in order to progress, that they have the ability to progress. And there's nobody willing to step out and say, hey, man, come work for me. I'll help you out. They're at a loss of what to do. And so usually they go back to what is comfortable. Dr. Smith had said he brought up his friend here, Mr. Brian Dell. He is currently a Cincinnati State recruiter. Got his associates from Cincinnati State in 2012, right? Then bachelor's at NKU in 2015.
Yes.
And just graduated with a master's in integrated studies, right? In 2018. So a little bit of background behind for Mr. Dell. You were a prisoner, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. So tell us a little bit about what that was like. About you don't have to necessarily name your crime or anything like that, but how long were you there? Where were you at? Things like that.
Well, in 1999, I caught a charge up in Butler County, and I was sentenced to a year prison sentence at Ross Correctional Institution.
Mm-hmm.
The mindset going in prison, just the word prison and what TV shows me was fearful going in. So
how old were you when you went in?
2000, oh my God, but 39.
39. Okay.
I was born in 61. So
Right. Whatever that means. Hold on, I'm gonna take my shoes off. Give me a second. No.
I was 39 years old going in. The experience there, the mentality is survival once you get there. Whether that's connecting with other prisoners as sort of a security, as your backing. One thing is real difficult is to go to prison by yourself and remain by yourself, because now you also become a victim in there. And so with that being said, my mindset was not on so much rehabilitation. It was about surviving and getting through. As long as I had hung with this group, I was okay. Working, I worked for $20 a month, working in the kitchen, 40 hours a week.
So what was that like? Like when you first got in there, what was it like? Because I mean, you're alone and you walk in, and like I've got a little bit of experience. So like when you walk in, everybody's looking at you, people hollering, screaming, and all, trying to be intimidating a little bit. You know what I mean? Just kind of see what you're about.
Yes.
So what were those first couple of days like? You're transitioning from the outside to the inside. What was that like?
It was somewhat difficult. What I did find out is that the guys that I rode to the prison with that became my initial group of people. So to go through that whole check-in process, haircut, searches, we all done that together. So we kind of became, but once we got past that, we were all shipped to different pods or locations. You look for somebody familiar, and I did find a few people that I knew back that were there. I didn't see them because they were there. That's who you try to latch on to. That's who you try to familiarize yourself with. But the prison system is so strict on a lot of things. When you eat, when you sleep, when you shower, when you do recreation. Mm-hmm. And to see some of the stuff going on outside of me and outside the cell, I just wanted to follow the rules because I did not want the repercussions. So it was real difficult, but it became a pattern. I'll just lay in the bed. This time we go to lunch, I go to lunch, I wouldn't say nothing. Other people would be talking, the COs would have something to say, they pull them out, they do what they done. I didn't want that to be me, so I didn't say nothing. If it was time to go and I wasn't finished eating, guess what? It was time to go. I wasn't one of the ones that wanted to get that last meal because there was repercussions to that too.
Right.
So the way of living was somewhat difficult until I got into what they call honor camp. Honor camp is more, instead of individual cells, it was more of pods at a low level crimes. People were low level or they were phasing out of the prison system. So they were put in these honor pods. It was more like a dormitory. That became very familiar to me because I experienced that here in Hamilton County and Queensgate versus the Justice Center. And so that became familiar to me.
So like the transition from the outside to the inside was you were basically doing what was familiar to you on the outside. You bonded with people that you were around. Right. When you went through the same things, the haircut, the searching and all that. I'm doing this with these guys, kind of our bonding thing. It's the only thing that we have because, I mean, honestly, I don't know. It's a scary situation.
Yes.
You don't know what you're walking into. You don't know. And everything that the movies and TV say, bro, yeah, I don't want to watch that for sure. And then when you went in, when you finally got in there and you guys that you had just bonded with went their separate situations, you tried to look for familiarity.
Right.
So you went back to what you knew. You were looking for something that you were familiar with.
Yes.
Makes total sense. So the transition from the outside to the inside, I think the book talks about the transition from the inside back out to the outside is the same thing. But something happens when you are there. The scaredness goes away. You said that you just want to follow the rules.
Yes.
So you acclimate yourself to what is happening. Each routine, each time frame, and all of that. You're there. You just trying to follow the rule.
Yeah.
You kind of get used to the system. The system that they put you in, you got to get used to it, or else there's consequences.
Yes.
And that's, I believe that is exactly what the prison system counts on. They want you to be a part of that system.
No, that's exactly what they count on. Yes.
And that's why they do
You
it.
know, I'm just going to say this real quick. You know what fires me up about these shows and talking about this stuff like that is the reality that where my sister is sitting is in prison.
Yeah.
And to know that in just a few short months, maybe years, up to 2 years, she will be transitioning back home. But she, at that point, if it's 2 years, she will have been locked up for 14 years. So, what kind of transition? I mean, just my mind frame can't think of the transition she's going to come into, just media and culture wise.
Right.
Period. Let's just take that one small thing. What kind of transition is going to slap her in the face when she walks back into the world? Much less any of the other obstacles that she's going to be facing when she gets here. And there's going to be so many. How do I help her in that process? What do I do? Because I don't have a clue. Truthfully, I don't have a clue. And I'm scared to death for her to come home, but I'm scared to death for her to stay.
Right.
So
That's some of the issues with ex-offender coming back into society to reintegrate. They are the men that I interviewed. Most of them are not privy or not aware of those social obstacles that they have to face that will produce social incarceration once leaving that prison and being sent back to whatever county that you had to go back to with only probably $75. And employment is the number one piece. It's going to be a major obstacle. If you don't have gainful employment, can't pay child support. Not being able to pay child support, lose your driver's license in Ohio. And you don't have your driver's license, then you don't have transportation to get to work unless you have public transportation. But you can't have public housing because that's another obstacle for the ex-offender that has a felony. Don't get public housing, then you can't register to vote if you don't have a permanent address. In the state of Ohio, you have to have a permanent address in order to vote. You can name a halfway house as your permanent address, but literally, technically, officially, that's not a permanent address. So they're facing many obstacles. Social stigmatism in terms of working, employment is the major piece, but where are you going to live? Where's your shelter?
Right.
Then I'm not out. If I don't have shelter, why am I even thinking about voting? Right.
Right.
True.
You know.
right.
Well, and I think it's all. Sorry. I think it's all the mindset. That's why this book is so huge. Because everything that you mentioned, yeah, it's an obstacle. We're supposed to overcome obstacles, obviously. But to your point, though, is like addicts don't have to put on an application how many times they've been rehabbed. They don't have to answer how many times they stole from the mom or got kicked out of the house. They don't have to put any of that stuff on the application.
Right.
They can go anywhere without any stipulations on them and get what they need. There's all types of methadone clinics and housing and all this kind of stuff. Sometimes you can even get a discount for being an addict. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of unfair that it works for one set of people who may have made a mistake or trying to do things correctly now, but another set of people, it's just totally unfeasible for them to even think about getting help.
Right.
It makes no sense to me at all. I think about these other countries, my old boss and I, you guys don't know, but we argue quite often about, he's a red team guy, and I'm talking about, politically or whatever. And I wouldn't even put myself on one side or the other, but we argue about some things. And we basically, I think that if there are some things that work for socialist countries, Norway, Finland, Sweden, China's number one. There are things that work for those countries. I'm not saying that we should be a socialist country, but if there are things that work, why not do it? Why not do those things that work? And the way that they do their prison systems in these other countries seem to work. The return rate is a lot lower in these other countries.
People are going to try.
I'm not even gonna try. That one, it kind of surprised me. I think that's the only reason I said it.
Right.
But the return rate is a lot lower, so there has to be something that is going correctly. My kids, we went out and hung out Super Bowl Sunday, and my oldest son is 12. He's on the phone arguing with his friend of the Patriots fan, or whatever. And I'm asking Dominic why you don't like the Patriots. He says because they win too much. Well, his brother looks at him and was like, what's wrong with winning too much? And that kind of smacked me in the face because I'm like, I've been hating on the Patriots too, you know. I was a Jordan fan, love the Bulls. Heck yeah, 6 rings, give me another one, you know. But the Patriots, though, I was like, nah, man, I want the Rams to win, blah, blah, blah. And I got to thinking, I'm like, what am I really hating on this man for?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, the dude's been successful. Whether he took air out the balls, whether he went and filmed the Jets practice, whether those things happen, it doesn't matter. Because he got 6 trophies that say it don't matter.
Still there.
You know what I mean? And honestly, from the top to the bottom, you know, Robert Kraft's a great owner, apparently. And the Water Boy is serving up high quality H2O. So from top to bottom, they're doing something correctly. To win 6 in 10 years, unheard of. We'll never see it again, you know?
Never say never.
well.
Unlikely.
Very highly unlikely. Very highly unlikely.
Statistically, I'm like,
Sorry for yelling. But I'm just saying, if these are issues that we are having with our prison system, and other countries have answered these questions,
right.
Why can't we adopt those attributes in those systems? You know, it doesn't make sense to me. I guess as you did your research for your book, did you find out what type of information did you find out about our systems compared to other systems?
Well, primarily I focused on the individual. I didn't really look at too many other countries, but I do know that in other countries that, let me just give you an example, Liechtenstein, when I was in Germany. By the way, Germany has healthcare for all their citizens, whether they work or not. So that's something we might adopt.
Hell, that would be awesome.
They pay high taxes, but that's okay if everybody's covered with health. But anyway, in a country like Liechtenstein, they have one prison, or one jail cell. I don't even want to call it a prison, it's not a prison. One jail cell in Liechtenstein, about the size of Connecticut. And on my tour there, I found out that they don't even hardly commit crimes in the country because everyone takes care of everyone else. And no one is afraid to approach someone of a different race or ethnicity. Everybody is able to meet the needs of each other person. They really believe that, you know, love your neighbor as yourself. But in a country like ours, I think the main difference in our country and other countries, the American way is so prolific. And I'm not speaking against the American way, but the American way is so prolific, it tries to be pronounced upon other countries that they should do things the way we do them. And that's not necessarily true. But also, this prison system, prison industrial complex, Parenti talks about it a little bit. I looked up some of his work and talking about prison industrial complex, but it's $1 billion industry.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of money is being circulated. A lot of money is being put forth for privatized prisons. Ohio has at least 18 prisons, I believe. You know, I don't want to name names right now, but some of those were proposed to be privatized, and supermax prisons. It generates billions of dollars, lots of money. Prisons that go into rural areas, now you got to build a Walmart. Now you got to have, because people got to go visit people at the prison.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have some gas stations in that area.
Right.
You got to have some restaurants in that area. You know, and you have to have, places like Walmart and superstores to be able to take items to the prison. It's just majorly prolific. And when you get, and when the system, the criminal justice system, prisons, federal or state, I'm mostly talking state. But when federal prisoners get moved, and state prisoners get moved from state to state, from Arkansas to Kentucky to Tennessee to Michigan, they get counted as citizens without the right to vote, because you can't vote while you're incarcerated. But those counties get extra funding, federal funding, for having more citizens in that county.
Wow.
Yes, Michelle Alexander talks about it definitely in her book, The New Jim Crow, Mass Incarceration in the Age of Color Blindness. But they get paid more money to have people who are criminals in that county.
The National Weather Service in Wilmington has issued a flood warning for the Great Miami River at Miami Town from late tonight to Sunday afternoon. At 11 a.m., the stage was 13.3 feet. Flood stage is 16 feet. Minor flooding is forecast.
We got a second here. Give a
The
shout out
river will
to
rise
Jason
above flood
Matt.
stage by early Thursday morning and
Thank you,
continue
Jesse,
to
for your
rise
help.
to near 22.3 feet by early Friday afternoon.
Senator.
The river will fall below
We'll be there
flood
Friday.
stage by late Sunday morning. At stages near 22 feet, flood waters affect homes just north of Miami town.
Okay, let's be frank. You can just
Stand by.
simply hit the page. All right, stay away from Little Miami River. It's flooding out there. It's getting a little crazy. So now this prison industry, it is a $1 billion industry, and it's all about money, and it's so sad. Mr. Dale said, you spoke a second ago about how you made what, $18 a month.
Yeah.
$18 a month.
It's going to be 21.
21 in the kitchen. You got promoted.
That's a raise.
You got promoted.
So how does that work? Because my sister, of course, she
She's
has
on the
to do,
hoe train.
like, she has to do jobs. And as far as I'm aware, how does the money system work? Because I don't think she gets any money credit.
Right. Doesn't it go like against everything that you owe or something like that?
Now, remember, this was in 2000 when I was there. So
Well,
maybe
and
it's
we have to
different
say
now.
too that she's in a whole different state. So
Right,
maybe
different
that's
state.
a different
But in
thing
the
too,
state
but-
of Ohio, they put that money on your books.
Yeah.
So you got $21 a month on your books. But even that becomes a hustle.
Right.
Because depending on where you work, I mean, in prison, like in the movie, cigarettes is money.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And so you can get, when people, they got microwaves in the dorm, so you get an onion, or for people that work in the kitchen, we got to cook fried chicken. Everybody else had that stuff you shake and put in a oven or something. We got the fried chicken. So, oh my goodness. A chicken breast was worth 2 packs of cigarettes. So, but that's the mindset and the hustle about everything in the system. And it was not designed to develop me to be a better person.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, the mindset coming out was, I'm gonna get a job, any job. Because if I can make $21 an hour, I should be able to do well making a couple $100 a week. It's a big difference. What seemed like was just $21 a month in prison equates to about $600 on the street.
Right.
And so it became a whole different thing. Even though I'm locked up and I work and I clean and I'm doing everything I would do on the outside, it was just a whole different mindset. And when I got out, the thought process for me was, I'm an ex-felon now. So a lot of them jobs that I thought that I wanted to do when I was younger, they gone out the window. The jobs I can do, I can work in a restaurant, and some of them don't do background checks. I can work for a temporary service because all they want is some muscle.
Right.
But they were, and you said it earlier, and you said it too, gainful. When you talk gainful employment that can sustain you, just having employment is not enough.
Right.
That's a setup for failure and a setup for recidivism. Because as I come out, one of the requirements was you had to have a job, you had to complete your courses, and upon doing that, you were released and say you was good to go. But what am I good to go to? You talk about being put back on the system. When you come out where I went, you had to be forced to apply for food stamps. The food stamps went directly to the program that I went to, so you didn't get them. But once you got out, you were already in the system, so hey, I got 3 food stamps now.
Right.
So, you know, you got the food stamps and you got free medical and dental and all this because you're coming from prison with nothing. And it becomes another way of life because you've not been learned anything different. You've not been talked about doing things a different way, developing a mindset to make you a better person. So what happens is you go right back out there once you get out and you do what you always done. And guess what? That recidivism, you get what you always got. So here I go again.
Right.
Back to the prison.
Right back. The America was 76%, 76 or 77% return rate. Places like Norway and Sweden, I think they're 20%. So there's got to be something that they are doing correctly that we could mimic off of, or we don't even have to say let's do it that way. Like figure out what they're doing and adjust it to make it work. There's a way for these people to still make their money, but not do it at the cost of the American people, you know, the prisoners. And like we like to talk about was that if you think about it, and we got that 77 down to 20, you're talking, what is that, 57% of people that are incarcerated. You're putting them back to work, which is going to build the economy, which they're paying their taxpayers at this point,
Right.
which is going to build the economy. You know what I mean? That 57% of people of, what would it say, 410,000 Americans, I think, are incarcerated at this moment. Half of that, 200,000 people putting back to work.
Right.
I mean, you're doing nothing but elevating your community, your economy, and you're building these people's mindsets so that they can be productive in their circle. You think about it, like, how many people did you affect when you get locked up? I mean, you had, mom, dad, or brothers and sisters, your buddies, all this much stuff. At least 5 people that were affected, if not more. So to see you come out, transform, and being productive, those 5 people are going to see that, and then it's going to affect their 5 people that they have around them. You see what I mean?
Right.
Positive. That type of positive can travel. I really believe so. So we switch gears a little bit. Talking about what it was like going in, what it's like coming out. Brian Dale has we call it the pipeline, right? That's right.
It's a prison. It's a high school to prison pipeline.
High school to prison pipeline, to where he works with these kids, troubled teens, and we try to prevent them from even going in.
Right.
Miss Dottie was on here. She's like, this is something that needs to be talked about in our school system. I'm like, I'm glad you brought that up. We're about to talk about that here in just a minute. But I think that is super important too. 2 things need to be done. If we're going to keep the system as it is, 2 things need to be done. We need to give these prisoners something to grasp a hold of once they're on their way out. Your buddy, Mr. Lackey, suggested a hotline, somewhere to call, somewhere to go, where they can learn something and be something and know that they can do something, instead of getting back in the car with a buddy that's going to hand them a joint or something as soon as they get out.
Right.
Another way to handle this issue is what you're talking about, get to them early. So explain a little bit about what you do and how that works.
Okay. Well, this is through Candace Tolbert. She started the foundation or organization called Super Seeds. And I just help her out in the sense that some students, and she worked with some of the different high schools, public high schools in the city, or our high schools, anybody that want to participate in this, she's trying to expand, where we take some of the youth that may be having some issues at school. Rather than get them expelled for the semester, they go through this 2-day process with Super Seeds. One day they may go to the court. They go down to the court. They see actual hearings. They see people get bonds and the charges. Then they may go up to the university hospital where they see people coming in with gunshot wounds. That what it's like. If you continue on the path you're going, this is some of what you have coming to you. And based on this, you may find yourself in prison for the rest of your life.
So it's kind of like that show on A&E, Beyond Scared Straight.
I was going to say, it's kind of a scary
It's
straight
similar, but
thing.
they don't use that stronger tactic.
I hear you.
And so the second day, they kind of connect with 2 different schools I know that they're using, and that one of them is Cincinnati State, one of them is NKU. And what we do is bring students on campus to show them what, the educational piece. This is what, you graduate, you can come to school, you can choose a career. And sometimes I set them up with different people in different program chairs or instructors where they can talk about their programs for them. What I do know about a lot of people that are incarcerated when I was locked up is that you got people that can build a radio, it seemed like, out of a couple wires and a couple strings. So I'm saying they're very talented people that are locked up. And they're engineers, they're people that's beautiful voices, that can sing, they can do so much. So now we capture these youth and we expose them to different things to kind of like, you know what, I can do this. Sometimes I share my experience of the prison system, of the streets, of my addiction, of everything I've went through. And thank God I celebrated 10.5 years coming up. But it's the process. And things are processed because it didn't happen for me right when I got out of school. Got out of prison. It was a process to get to school. A lot of fears, a lot of people holding my hand, a lot of people giving me the talks that I'm giving to the young ones now. I'm trying to prevent them from experiencing up to 39 years and then going to prison. I want that. I'm trying to get that behavior now and let them know that you don't have to do this. Let them know, because some of these kids come from broken homes, from environments that say you'll never add up to nothing, and they buy into it.
Right.
So if you live in this neighborhood, you gotta act this way. There's some neighborhoods it seems like you gotta fight your way in and fight your way out, especially if you try to be different.
Right.
You know, so to be looked at as smart, you sound different. You think you better than,
Right.
so you become
Right.
big in a target. So we don't. What I try to tell them is that change. Change is in you. You are the CEO of your own dream. You can be whatever you want to be. It starts on the inside. And guess what? I'm here to walk this journey with you, because I don't just talk it, I walk it. So
Yeah.
that gives them some comfort. And see, then when they come to our campus and it's like, this is college, and I can do this. And you can start taking college credit courses in high school. So now you can start getting prepared in high school. And it helps students change their mindset early.
Mm-hmm.
And we get people, we've had students since high schools that have students graduate with a college degree, an associate's degree, and get their high school diploma a week or two later.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I think that's super important. I don't think that we think about the circumstances surrounding why someone acts the way that they act or whatever enough. You know, you talk about coming from broken homes and things like that. This society, the young people society now is such a mosaic society. There's you used to be, you could tell like everybody was kind of in a category. Now you have no idea what's going on in that person's life. You may have two moms, you may be a mom and a dad or whatever. You know what I mean? Like it's just it sounds kind of funny, but ultimately it messes with people's minds and how they are able to accept and regurgitate information.
Absolutely.
People are so confused. I mean, it's just everything is so confusing. So I think that's the high school to prison pipeline is very important. I would say that I think that maybe you want to introduce some type of psychology class in there, just to kind of let them understand how the mind works from both sides, you know, and then that way when they go to a courthouse or a hospital or maybe even a prison if you do a visit or whatever, to kind of think about it from the other perspective and be like, oh man, I've been there. I've done it. Wow, I've seen that. Man, I could be there tomorrow or the next week or whatever. Wow. You know, it really kind of drive it home, you know. But I think it's a killer idea for sure. As far as what Dr. Smith is trying to do, we'd already talked about the hotline or whatever. What are some other provisions and things that you were trying to change about the post-prison actions or mindset?
Yes, some other things there are recommendations that I put in chapter 5 of the book that can be done on a federal level. But we have one problem. There's legal discrimination going on with these employers that they can actually legally discriminate from someone that has been arrested. They don't even know what they've been arrested for, what the charge was. And one thing that can happen is that have you ever been convicted of a crime on job applications? Are you convicted of a felony? Like they don't ask the persons about what drugs you took. They don't ask that. But ex-offenders have to say whether or not they have a felony or a misdemeanor. So these things, I know in the state of Ohio, they worked on it to Senate Bill 337, which myself and Mr. Dale here, we went up to Columbus in 2013, was it? 2014. And we sat and talked to that panel that particular day on that Senate bill to get that, have you been convicted of a felony off of application? We advocated for that. And we ended up talking to actually a person that runs the company Nehemiah, because he was talking about hiring felons and ex-offenders which that company does very well now with that provision. But that's one of the major things is employment to be able to not have to put unconvicted of a felony, because employers can take that application and just like, okay, I'm gonna hire you. Even if you've been arrested and not convicted,
Mm-hmm.
that's still an issue. I also bring out in the book that white males that have a felony have a more opportunity of callbacks than a black male who has never been arrested. You get more opportunity for callbacks. So there's a racism piece, there's a classism piece going on. And then to the point of public safety, it just sounds so right to be able to do all these things for ex-offenders before they get out. But to become public citizens and public safety and productive, does America really want to do that in a democratic way? I mean, do we represent that type of equity in our society? I think not. But, I'm fighting and I'm advocating for all ex-offenders because they are citizens just like anyone else. The question is asked, once a criminal, always a criminal? Not so.
Right.
Not always a criminal for life. When can I have my life back?
Right.
Right? I've done the time. I've paid the fees. I've spent the time. I timed out.
Right.
When can I get my life back? Am I always supposed to be suppressed and down, pushed down? So, it became very passionate for me because many of my family members and friends have been incarcerated and just picked up for no reason. And sometimes I looked at the points of so many people being arrested for the same thing, but who's being convicted? Because you got white males being arrested, you got black males being arrested, you have Hispanic males being arrested, but who's getting the convictions? If you look at the numbers, over 75% is minority. So it's got to be something that has to be done in terms of a movement and getting this voice out. Voices crying out. We're crying out right now about this recidivism rate and this lack of opportunity once coming into society with there's lack of opportunity based on the obstacles. Everybody faces obstacles, but why are the obstacles exacerbated for the ex-offender? Why can't he get a job? Why can't he get someplace to live? Right? Why can't he vote? Why can't she vote?
Right.
So it's an ongoing problem.
And what are we supposed to do? Like me as the sibling, the only living relative, literally, because our parents are both gone, that she has
Right.
is me. So when she comes home, it kind of falls to me to help her get her back where she needs to be.
Mm-hmm.
How do you start that process?
Right.
I mean, first of all, she's got to come to Ohio because she's in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the biggest obstacles that we face right now, just getting her
Yeah.
paroled, because they won't parole her because she has nowhere to go to in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's one of the reasons, not all of them, but one of them. Because then they will have to do an intercity or interstate transfer
Right.
from Texas to Ohio. Ohio has to agree to take her on before she can come
Mm-hmm.
while she is still on paper.
Right.
So, and then when she gets out, March of 2021 is her release date, period. Then she can come up here. But what do we do? What do we do? Where does it start?
Yeah. And that's some of the things that we were talking about before about pre-release. Have those phone lines in there, get some counseling going on, let them know about what type of job opportunities. Norway does it. They let you know what kind of job opportunities you're going to have before you even get out. So what type of job opportunities you may be able to get. What are the companies that do hire felons and ex-offenders? That needs to be a thing that's going on now, because men in state prisons right now in Ohio can call that line and complain about being assaulted in prison. So that should be another option, as well as what can I do when I get ready to get out?
Right.
How much help do I get?
Absolutely.
But one person in the book, chapter 4, he talks about how prisons are just warehousing. There's no rehabilitation going on. You have to rehabilitate yourself.
Mhm.
And there's, the education that was going on in prisons, because jailhouse lawyers were becoming prominent now with some JDs. That funding got cut.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at prison budgets always go up, education budgets go down. So that's about money. And when you talk about over 2.3 million people in jails and prisons in the United States of America, then you begin to talk about another 5 million on probation and parole. You got 7 million people in the criminal justice system.
Mm.
And now you got a big prison industrial complex that's generating billions of dollars, and it keeps circulating, because that $20 that you make in the kitchen, you don't go to Walmart and go to the store and spend that. You got to spend it right back in the prison
Right
system.
back there.
So, I mean, those monies are being generated, and when you got so much money, like the drug industry that came through America
Mm-hmm.
and generated billions of dollars. We got customs agents. We don't need a wall. We can have people. We got customs agents to stop drugs from coming in this country. But do we do it? No, because it generates billions
Right.
of dollars.
Amen.
When you got so much money, why do you want to stop? Why do I want to share? Why do I want to help? Why do I want to help you out?
Right. True.
You know,
It's so funny.
it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money.
It is.
And in the 80s, crack cocaine, powder cocaine came through. They did it 100 to 1. 5 grams of crack got you the same sentence as 500 grams of powder. And that was through the Reagan era, because they had the Senate hearings, and it generated billions of dollars. And then the incarceration rate in the 80s, it wasn't that much, but in my book it shows a chart where the incarceration rate just ballooned to the 2000s, and now we got over 7 million. It's way over 7 million people now in the criminal justice system. People locked up.
That's crazy. That's a lot
That
of
is a
people.
lot of people.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, if we can figure out some way to get these folks out, I mean, they can generate money. I like what you said earlier about how I'm a firm believer some of the smartest people are locked up in prison.
Absolutely.
The people that can help do things, the forward thinkers, the innovators, a lot of those people are locked up. They just wouldn't be listened to because of either their color or their economic status or things like that, you know. And you do what's easy. You do what you're used to. You do what you're used to seeing, you know. We had talked about a couple of weeks ago or a couple of shows ago about how we take the guy who was selling drugs, and if he dials this number, I can hook you up with a businessman to teach you how to flip flop that. Instead of doing drugs, we're gonna do this business.
Right.
But you're gonna run it because I know you can run a business. I watched you run a business.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You've done this, and I think that those are the things just to let people know that you can. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be pot. It can be computer chips,
Right.
or it can be car tires, or it can be whatever else. You know what I mean? You wanna break into cars or whatever. You know how to hot wire, so you're a mechanic, so you know what's up. So I'm gonna put you in this shop. I'm gonna let you show me the ins and outs of how maybe I would want to go the long way and go through the dashboard, whoop-de-whoop. You can bypass all that. You know how to do that. I need to hook you up with this person. You see what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
Those types of things need to be done, and that's how we need to be thinking about our fellow Americans. It's so funny. It's so funny. The double standard when we talk about our fellow Americans.
Yeah.
When we talk about people who have, oh man, you know, our veterans and blah, blah, and I'm so patriotic and I give this amount of money to this charity and I'm at every 4th of July parade and blah, blah, blah. Okay, what about our prisoners? Well, no, not them. What? We're still all Americans, right?
Right.
We're still, it's our brothers and sisters in Christ, right?
Right.
We're supposed to be looking out for one another, right? Isn't that
Right.
what the good book says? Isn't that what it says in the instruction manual?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I really thank you guys for coming on here and sharing the story. We still got about 5 minutes here, 4 minutes. I don't know. Do you guys want to come back on here in a couple of weeks and
Sure.
we can kind of reiterate a little more?
Absolutely.
It's a great thing when somebody takes time to basically help the next folk.
Right.
And it's that to me is a testament of that's America to me.
Right.
White, black, whatever, Latino, it doesn't matter.
Right.
When you are wanting to help the next person and you say, this is what I'm going to dedicate my life to.
Right.
To be a professor, to be a teacher, to do what you do, to worry about kids at a young age, to worry about that. It's huge. It is huge. that is how America can be made great again, for sure.
Mhm.
There's a lot of issues that I try to shy away from because it's not really, we don't want to start no problems, but but we are real raw and relevant here, and I am not ashamed to say that this type of thinking is the way that we need to go, for sure. This has nothing to do with a red team or a blue team. This
No.
has everything to do with the next person, my brother and sister in Christ.
Right.
And I think it's super awesome. And you had mentioned about getting the felony thing off of applications. What is your? Do you have like a rebuttal, a solution to that, or we just don't need it at all?
The felony box is off of, I believe in Hamilton County, it's off of civil applications, but the state did not want to adopt it. So I don't know. I haven't looked at the recent law on it, but I don't think that they have taken it off of applications in the entire state of Ohio. But I did check on with one of my persons that I did interview, and he said
Said
that
imagine
question, the question wasn't even on the application, so he was glad about that, and he just got employment. So
Amen to that.
it was great.
That's what's up. Well, when we had talked about it, we were talking about maybe, all right, so if somebody doesn't want to take that completely off, maybe you do like a 3 strikes and out type thing. Like, have you been convicted of the same thing 3 times?
Right.
And that would be a way we would both win. If you made a mistake, you've done your time, whatever, and you're out, you're looking for a job. Hey man, it's been 1 time, it's been 3 years ago. Bet, let me give you a chance.
Yeah.
All right, I've done it twice. An accident, wrong place, wrong time, whatever. 3rd time, you're kind of like, well, brother, I've given you a chance. Come on, you know what I mean? So that could be like a win-win type deal. Anyway, we can talk more about that later. I want to thank Dr. Ricardo Smith. Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
coming out and checking out, hanging out with us and
Absolutely.
telling us about your book, Voices Cry Out, Post-Prison Mindset. Check it out. He is going to be tagged on our post on this video, so he can contact us to figure out how to get a copy of the book.
It's on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, Joseph Beth.
Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Joseph Beth. You can check it out. Voices Cry Out, Post-Prison Mindset. Thank you to Dr. Ricardo Smith. Also want to say a big thank you to Mr. Brian Dell from Cincinnati State Recruiter.
Well,
If y'all thinking about trying to hit up some schooling, I think they'll do online. They got media courses. They got a bunch of stuff going on over at Cincinnati State. So we want to thank you guys for coming out for sure. I want to throw out another shout out to old Jesse down at Flip Daddies. Thank you, Jesse, for your support. Shout out to New Reality
I need a
Center.
burger, Jesse. I'm hungry.
I want one, but I don't think might be another day or two before I can do that. Tried to get some Tony's last night. Didn't work out too well. But anyway, shout out to Jesse. Shout out to New Reality. Thank you guys again for coming out. We'll say 2 weeks. 2 weeks from this Wednesday. Not next Wednesday, but the one after that.
Okay,
We'll be back. Is that all right?
we'll come back and let you know.
We'll figure it out. They will be back. We'll just put it like that. They will be back. You dealing with people that are doing this much for the community, man. They schedule it. They get booked up pretty quick. So maybe they'll be back in July. I don't know. But anyway, we want to thank you guys for your continual support. Thank these folks for coming out. We'll see you next time on Okay, Let's Be Frank here on 1320 AM WCBG.
Yes, we will be back.
Sweet.
Brad just got a job. Very lucky.
Oh, no joke. That's
So
awesome.
he got a job. So he said he didn't have to answer that question on the application. Have you ready to They don't put misdemeanors. Do they put misdemeanors on that?
Some of
I
them.
ain't seen one this week in the wrong.
I know. I used to have to fill that out myself.
But he said it wasn't on there. He got the job. And another person I just assisted to work at City Gospel Mission. She was working social work at Tallahassee. She has a social work degree, and she's helping out people that's been on drugs. By the way, this drug court, the laws now, you go to drug court. You don't go to municipality and all these other stuff.
Right.
But now we created drug courts to handle all the drugs because of the opioid crisis.
Right.
And they're being sent to treatments, not prison.
Right.
So
Well, and that's the thing too. This is what I understand. Like, I think that we if you can,
Age two.
I know about this drug thing. You got to go through an evaluation. They check you out and see how often you do this, that, or how often you say you do. And then they send you to this place to kind of educate you on how not to do it. You want to get back to society. Like,
Right.
I think it
There's
was
no prison time.
Yeah.
well, I think for some prisoners it should be that way. Like,
And the
you
ones-
have to do an evaluation and see like you ain't really no criminal.
But the ones locked up for marijuana, about to become